Hi, and welcome to Art of Sequencing Level 2, Part 1. Theming. Why do we do it? Why is it important? How can we become better themers? So number one, why do we do theming? So theming is differentiated from peak pose in that it's usually food for thought. It's more of a philosophical bent than it is a physical bent. Now, that being said, we definitely want to marry the two together. We want to marry our physical theme, which is our peak pose, with our philosophical theme. But what I wanted to dive into for the next two parts is philosophy. What is philosophy? Philosophy is asking the bigger questions of why we are here. And a large component of Eastern thought, yoga, meditation, as well as Eastern philosophy, is all about asking the question of why we're here. By asking the question why we're here, or what is the bigger picture, it brings more meaning to what it is that we're doing, whatever it is that we're doing. It gives us a sense of purpose. It brings what we love to call the sacred into the mundane. And so it can make those of us who might feel untethered, floating through life, anchoring us into something that gives us faith. Every single Eastern, pretty much all Eastern thought talks a lot about faith. Not necessarily faith in God, but faith in something. Something that is greater than folding laundry, washing the dishes, what have you. As yoga teachers, we have this opportunity to give people time and space to reflect on what's happening in their life. And the theme could quite simply be, let's reflect on what's going on in our lives right now. And then asking the question, is this serving us, right? In order to change a habit, or in order to create big changes or transformation, as I like to call it, you need time to reflect on what is or what's going on in order to make the changes. And that's why I think theming is very, very potent in a yoga class. Now, it doesn't need to happen every single time. There are definitely days where I don't offer a theme. Days when it feels like we should just breathe and be in our bodies. And there are other times when I think it's important to give people the opportunity to reflect. What I like to call food for thought. Most of the time, themes are brought in at the beginning and end of class. And I love bringing in the same theme at the beginning and end of class because we're going to hear it differently because we're different. So how do I choose a theme? A couple of ways to do it. The most obvious one is, what are you working with in your own life? Right? What are the themes of your week? Another one, and one that we see mostly, I find, in classes that I've been to, is using a quote that resonates with you. And that's what we're going to work with today. And then in the next part, we'll talk more about how to bring in the personal into the class, okay? So a quote that resonates with you from a book. The other way to choose a theme is current events, moon phases, seasons, holidays, kind of drawing in on what's happening around us because we're all being affected by it. So for today's class, or today's lecture, I'm going to speak from Eastern Body, Western Mind by good old Anodea Judith, which is a psychology in the chakra system as a path to self. I love this book. If you'll notice, I have tons and tons of Post-its. I find this book really, really helpful and really accessible because Judith essentially marries psychology with Eastern thought. And she does it through the chakra system. And I find that chakras are an easy gateway into philosophy. Most people have heard about them, and most people have heard some sort of psychological I was going to say babble, but it's not babble. Like people have studied or understood, or, you know, it's in the vernacular and in like popular vernacular of talking about psychology. So I find that this book is really, really accessible. So if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. You may do as much as I do in terms of the Post-its. So how to choose a quote. So the first thing that I do is I just read a lot. And yeah, there was a point in time where I think all I was reading was Eastern thought. Part of it for my own development and part of it to draw research in terms of what it is that I wanted to teach. As I'm going through the book, as I was going through this book, I would find quotes that I really like, and I add a Post-it and some underlining, and sometimes I put some notes on the Post-it to just kind of remind myself. And then I have this, and then anytime I'm like, I want to go back and talk about a particular chakra or something, I can open up, go through these Post-its and find quotes that really resonate with me. So that's what I did essentially in the keynote that I created for you guys. So I'm going to go into that right now. Okay, let's dive in together.